Hey, TheSuffolkRam from Round Nerds. Welcome to my review of episode 2 of series 9 of the new series Doctor Who, The Witch's Familiar. As I say in all my reviews, there may be some minor spoilers ahead, so if anything spoiled, turn off now. So this episode is the second part of the first part and carries on from last episode. I thought it was a really well written episode. I thought it was well paced, well driven, well directed. Basically splits into two halves. You have Clara and Missy in one sort of section doing their own adventure, trying to get back into the city. The Doctor and Davros doing their own thing, bouncing off each other. Well written serial. That's how I like serials where they sort of mainly about the character interaction, the two. Missy and Clara bit works brilliantly. I love the way Missy sort of, it's almost like works very similar to the Doctor, but in a nasty way. I thought the way she sort of does things and talks to her Clara was actually very Doctor-esque, but in a sort of clearly self-centered way, which was a nice sort of contrast to how normally you see her interacting with the Doctor, how the Doctor and Missy work together, and the Doctor and Clara work together. Doctor and Davros also has some good sort of dialogue between the two. The twist that came at the end was obvious to me. They very much lead you down the route that you think they want you to lead down. They sort of make it build up the very doubt, but with Davros' personality, the fact that he's supposedly dying, they build up a certain progression that you expect, only for it to be twisted at the end. And it was obvious. I just saw it come miles off, and I think Doctor should be gene savvy enough to know that that was going to happen. He should have jumped ahead of it and stopped it. So that was a bit disappointing. I was hoping for. I thought that was too obvious in my liking. The episode stuff is really funny. I like the homages to a previous Doctor Who serials, specifically like the Genesis of the Daleks. There's quite a big, good homage to that. And those are similar ones to some other Dalek series, like the actual The Dalek serial. Some neat little homages to that, which is, I like those sort of things where they call back to his episodes. I think that's always a neat thing to do. We also get introduced into the obviously myth arc of the episode. So obviously last year's myth arc was Who is Missy. This year's myth arc involves the Time Lords and involves something Doctor may or may not have been involved in. I'm certainly was involved in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops, and I hope it develops. And we'll find out over the course of the series how it develops. But overall, really well written episode, really great little episode. Highly recommend it. So on to the characters of the episode. So Michelle Gomez is playing Missy. I looked her name up this time because last week I completely forgot who she was. Still gets to the best line series. Brilliant interaction with her and Jenny Coleman, who plays Clara Oswald. Really funny, really laugh. I love the way she portrays Missy. Discussed that in the previous section. So I'm really glad to see and hope we see more of her in future episodes. Dr. Peabody still, I have to say, he's now become my favourite Doctor of the new series. I just love the way he acts, love the way he has this sort of Cloud Cuckoo-ness about him. So almost like he's not really all the ticket half the time, but he clearly is. I love that sort of, it feels like, he actually feels like a deep character, which some of the others have never been able to quite portray. So, really like him. Julian Bleach, RC, came back last episode, played Davros. He previously played Davros in Journey's End and Stolen Earth. I don't think he did a very good job in those two episodes, to be honest. I thought they were quite poor portrayal of Davros. I thought at the time, this isn't a very good Davros. But I didn't realise it was the same actor at first until I looked up. I thought, oh, they've got someone different this time. That's good. He does a really good job. And it is the same actor from previous time. I thought, brilliant. He's really all improved. He's got the mannerisms down right. I almost feels like you're watching the very original actor back in the role, which obviously you can't because he's long since dead. But he does a fantastic job, Davros, and he works so well with Peter Capaldi bouncing off him. Excellent. I mentioned Jenny Coleman. She's back in it again. She's actually enjoyable this episode. She's not too bad at all. I was quite surprised how good she was. I was not expecting a lot of her character, but she's been well written this episode. Usually I find her a trial to watch through, but no, this time she did very well, and she gets to reprise the role that he originally played by the character Ian Chesterton in the original Dalek series. She gets to reprise it and do a reasonably good job of it. She still can't quite pull off desperation very well, does Doll Jenny. Doesn't always, her desperation just looks a bit of a, oh no, rather than, oh shit, someone please help me, oh no. She doesn't pull that off very well, which she does towards the end of the episode. But yeah, great characterisation. Special effects of the episode are very good. The city is excellent. It loses a bit when you see the Daleks moving around the city. I think the trouble is when you see the Daleks sort of floating about, flying about the city, the trouble is they move not as good as their physical props. They move somewhat too agile and just looks wrong. They look like CGI creations. They don't look like physical. They don't match up. So they need to. In some ways, they're too agile. That's the issue. They're too agile in their movement around the city. They actually need to be all clunky, and that would look more in keeping. Actually, I think sell the idea better. The fact the city itself works better when they weren't moving around it. There's an early special effect early on where Davros, well, about spoiling things, you see another part of Davros. And that was very well done, very convincing, very impressed. And our friend, the chap with the snake, returns, and he does some excellent CGI involving him. Overall, I thought really well done. I thought brilliantly portrayed CGI, and physical props are also really good in that as well. So I'm really impressed. So yeah, well, money was spent this one. I said the city is amazing. I thought actually incredible for a TV series. I thought that was absolutely incredible. Just don't look at it too detailed, because they always do in look too much detail. Then you tend to see the sort of the man behind the curtain, as it were. But really neat done. Really like the CGI and the other special effects. I thought it was great. So production-wise, I thought the episode was very well done. I think the writing was excellent. I'm really pleased with the writing. It feels like it's going to be. It just feels like it's going to be a good season. I hope it builds up. Last season was a bit of a disappointment. The previous season with Matt Smith was a bit of a disappointment. The season before that was okay. And the one before I thought was really good. But it feels like we're back on form now. Moffat seems to have repealed himself. I feel like we're back on form. So really enjoyed the series. I thought it was paced well. I thought his writing was excellent so far. Direction I thought was really neat. So I think it's been done very well. So I suppose my final thoughts are: I thought it was a really excellent episode. Really enjoyed it. Really pleased with it. Can't wait to watch the rest of the series basically. So I highly recommend it. I give it a thumbs up from me. I don't do ratings when it comes to the episodes. Let's hope they can keep this pace up. Next week's looks very interesting. It appears to be the Edwardian coasts in an underwater city. So that looks really interesting. It looks like another bottle episode, and I quite like those. But I do quite like the bottle episodes where they're sort of stuck somewhere and can't get out. I like those styles, so they always fit there. Generally a traditional Doctor Who episode. So once again, look forward to that. So I hope you'll join me on my next review. Thank you very much for watching. I've been TheSuffolkRam. Please subscribe to the channel. We do reviews, we do let's plays, we do podcasts, of which you can see all the archives we have up there. So please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the review of the next part. Thank you very much for watching. See you then.